Before we begin, a quick and important disclaimer. The content in this presentation is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It is not, under any circumstances, to be considered legal advice. The individual discussed is part of a widespread internet meme and should not be mistaken for a licensed legal professional in the United States. For any and all legal concerns, please consult with a qualified and licensed attorney. You've seen him. You're scrolling through TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, and suddenly there he is. A man in a perfectly tailored dark suit, white shirt, red tie. He's pointing not at you but just past the camera, with an expression of unshakable, almost terrifying confidence. The caption reads something like, "My lawyer after I say nah," or "My lawyer when the judge sentences me to the death penalty, but my mom brought orange slices for the courtroom." You laugh, you hit like, you might even send it to a friend. The name everyone uses for this god-tier legal eagle? Jayoma Lawyer. But what if I told you the single biggest lawyer on the internet isn't a lawyer? What if I told you he's not named Jayoma? And what if I told you he's not even American? In fact, the true story of how this man became the face of legal victory for millions is one of the most bizarre, fascinating, and frankly brilliant viral stories of our time. It's a story that starts not in a courtroom in Chicago or Los Angeles, but thousands of miles away, in the middle of a chaotic, high-stakes political battle in Southeast Asia. And in this video, we are going to unravel every single thread of this mystery. We're going to answer the question that has spawned millions of searches. Who is Jayoma Lawyer? By the time you're done watching, you won't just know the real story behind the meme. You will understand the strange and powerful engine of internet culture, how an image can be stripped of its original meaning and given a new, more powerful one by millions of strangers online. You'll see how a political ad campaign in Indonesia became an inside joke for teenagers in Ohio. This isn't just about a meme. It's about how our digital world works. So let's start with what we see. The image itself is perfect. It's a masterclass in visual communication. The man exudes an aura of competence that borders on supernatural. It's the kind of look you want from the person defending you when you're facing a 25 to life sentence for illegal jaywalking. His finger isn't just pointing. It's accusing, it's defending, it's commanding the entire room. His slight smile isn't one of amusement. It's the smirk of a predator who knows he's already won. The internet took one look at this man and collectively decided, this is the greatest lawyer who has ever lived. The name Jayoma just appeared out of the ether. No one really knows who said it first. Sounds vaguely legal, vaguely powerful. It has a nice ring to it. Say it with me, Jayoma. Feels important. And so it stuck. The meme exploded because it tapped into a universal fantasy. The idea of having someone so impossibly good at their job on your side that the rules of reality itself no longer apply. Think about the format. My lawyer when? It's a perfect setup for absurdity. It allows for infinite creativity. My lawyer when the prosecutor pulls up video evidence of me committing the crime. And then you see him pointing confident as if to say, and what about it? He's the ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card. He's not just going to get you acquitted. He's going to get the judge sanctioned, the prosecutor disbarred, and the courthouse renamed in your honor. He's the Saul Goodman of the TikTok generation, but without any of the moral ambiguity. In the world of the meme, Jayoma is a force for your personal good. No matter how bad you've been. The trend evolved rapidly. Soon it wasn't just the picture. People started using a specific sound, a booming, dramatic funk track that sounded like it was ripped straight from a superhero movie trailer. The combination was electric. The powerful music, the unstoppable image. It created a feeling, a vibe. It was the vibe of absolute, unquestionable victory against impossible odds. People started making their own versions, dressing up in suits, mimicking his signature point. The Jayomaverse was expanding, but as the trend grew, so did the confusion. Who was this guy? Early theories ran wild. Some claimed he was a famous lawyer from a high-profile case. Others thought he was an actor from a legal drama like Suits or Better Call Saul. The name Jayoma was a dead end. There are no famous lawyers in the United States named Jayoma. A search for Jayoma Lawyer just led you back to the memes themselves. A perfect, self-contained informational loop. The internet had created a fictional character, given him a name, a profession, and a legendary reputation, all based on a single context-free photograph. This is where our investigation truly begins. To find the truth, we have to peel back the layers of the meme. we have to work backward from the millions of TikToks and Reels, past the initial viral posts on Twitter and Instagram, and search for the origin, the ground zero of the Jayoma explosion. And to do that, we have to leave the United States entirely. We have to cross the Pacific Ocean and travel to the fourth most populous country in the world, Indonesia. Because the man the internet calls Jayoma Lawyer is, in reality, an incredibly famous and powerful figure in his home country. But his profession has absolutely nothing to do with law. His real name is Prabowo Subianto, and in the original photo, he wasn't in a courtroom. He was on a debate stage, running for the highest office in his country, President of Indonesia. Let that sink in for a moment. The entire myth of Jayoma, the invincible American lawyer, is built on a photograph of an Indonesian presidential candidate during a heated political debate. The confident point, the winning smirk, it wasn't directed at a judge or a jury. It was aimed at a political opponent. The meme you shared last week wasn't just a funny picture. It was a freeze frame from a moment of intense political theater for a nation of over 275 million people. So how did this happen? How does a politician from Jakarta become a legal folk hero in America? This is the core of our story. It's a tale of cultural mistranslation, algorithmic luck, and the internet's incredible ability to create its own reality. We're going to trace the exact path of this image, from its origin in the 2019 Indonesian presidential election to the phone in your hand. We'll look at the original video the photo was taken from, so you can see the exact moment Jayoma was born. We'll explore the political career of Prabowo Subianto himself, and trust me, his real-life story is more dramatic and controversial than any meme could ever capture. We'll dissect the psychology behind why this specific image was so effective. What is it about that pose, that suit, that expression that resonates so deeply with a global audience that knows nothing of its original context? It's a fascinating case study in nonverbal communication and the creation of modern mythology. So get ready. We are about to pull the curtain back on one of the internet's greatest mysteries. The journey will take us deep into the worlds of international politics, digital marketing, and the strange, unpredictable nature of internet fame. The man in the suit is not who you think he is. And the real story is far more compelling than you can imagine. Our story starts not with a crime but with a campaign. A battle for the heart and soul of a nation, where one candidate's confident gesture on a debate stage would, years later and an ocean away, make him the most famous lawyer in the world. The year is 2019. The setting, a television studio in Jakarta, Indonesia, crackling with the electric tension of a nation holding its breath. And the man at the center of it all is not a lawyer, but a former general, a political titan, a figure of immense power and controversy named Prabowo Subianto. To understand the gesture that would conquer the internet, you first have to understand the man. Prabowo is not your average politician. He's a product of Indonesia's complex and often brutal political history. A former commander of the country's special forces, he carries an aura of old-school authority, a discipline forged in the military. His public persona is one of unwavering strength, a nationalist who speaks with a booming voice and a promise to restore Indonesia to greatness. By 2019, he was a political heavyweight, a perennial presidential candidate who inspired fervent devotion in his followers and deep suspicion in his critics. This election was his third attempt at the presidency, and the stakes couldn't have been higher. It was a bitter, deeply personal rematch against the incumbent Joko Widodo, a man who was his polar opposite. Widodo was the man of the people, a former furniture salesman with a gentle demeanor. Prabowo was the establishment strongman, the general with a powerful dynasty behind him. The country was divided, and the first presidential debate was the political Super Bowl. Millions were tuned in, hanging on every word, every gesture, every flicker of an eye. The air in the studio was thick enough to cut with a knife. The topics for the night were heavy: law, human rights, corruption, and terrorism. The moderators grilled both candidates, pressing them on the nation's most sensitive issues. The incumbent, Widodo, was on the attack, questioning Prabowo's commitment to rooting out corruption within the very institutions he represented. The accusation hung in the air that the system was broken, that law enforcement was weak, and that figures like Prabowo were part of the problem, not the solution. It was a direct challenge to his core identity as a strong leader. All eyes turned to Prabowo. How would he respond? Would he get angry? Defensive? Would he offer a detailed policy rebuttal? He did none of those things. Instead, as his opponent finished speaking, Prabowo leaned into his microphone. A small, knowing smirk played on his lips. He looked out, not just at his opponent but at the entire country watching. And then it happened. He raised his right hand, extended his index finger, and began to wag it back and forth. A slow, deliberate, almost hypnotic motion. 1, 2, 3, 4 times. It wasn't a frantic, angry wag. It was cool, rhythmic, and utterly dismissive. His expression was a mixture of amusement and condescension. The gesture spoke a universal language that needed no translation. It said, "No, no, no. You're wrong. You don't get it. And I'm not even going to dignify that with a serious answer." In that moment, he wasn't just a politician on a stage. He was the unimpressed teacher schooling a naive student, the disappointed father chiding a child who should know better. He then followed the gesture with a booming laugh and a simple, powerful declaration, essentially stating that if the system were so weak, he wouldn't have been able to get so rich. It was a shocking, audacious defense that left the audience and his opponent momentarily stunned. For his supporters, it was a moment of pure triumph. It was Prabowo in his element. Confident, unshakable, and completely in command. He hadn't just dodged a political attack. He had contemptuously swatted it away like a fly. To them, the finger wag was a symbol of his strength, his refusal to be bullied by political correctness or bogged down in trivial arguments. It was the gesture of a leader who knew best. For his critics, however, the moment was everything they feared about him. It was arrogant, dismissive of a serious national issue, and deeply out of touch. They saw a man so insulated by power and privilege that he could literally laugh off accusations of systemic corruption. For them, the finger wag was a symbol of impunity, a sign that he believed he was above the very laws he aspired to uphold. The gesture immediately became a political flashpoint in Indonesia. It was clipped, shared, and debated endlessly. It was turned into local memes, GIFs, and political cartoons. Supporters used it to signal their unwavering loyalty. Opponents used it to mock his perceived hubris. The finger wag became a piece of Indonesian political shorthand, a symbol loaded with all the love and hate and division of that fiery election. Prabowo would ultimately lose that election. The finger wag, once a symbol of his defiant campaign, faded into the background, becoming just another footnote in a long and storied political career. It was a cultural artifact specific to a single moment in time in a single country. It had no meaning outside the borders of Indonesia, and there it should have died. Like countless other political moments, it was destined to be archived on YouTube, a piece of digital history occasionally revisited by political junkies but otherwise forgotten by the world. But here's where the story takes its impossible turn. Because a meme is like a seed. It can lie dormant for years, waiting for the right conditions to sprout. And the most powerful memes are the ones that can be stripped of their original context and given a new life, a new meaning. Prabowo's gesture, while born from the heat of a political battle, possessed a kind of universal DNA. It was a simple, clean, easily repeatable motion. It conveyed a powerful and relatable human emotion. Confident dismissal. You don't need to know anything about Indonesian politics to understand what that finger wag means. It's the "nah" you used on the playground. It's the "I don't think so" you say to a bad idea. It's a visual full stop. The gesture was a perfect vessel, an empty container waiting to be filled with new meaning. And for 4 long years it sat there waiting. A forgotten moment from a distant election. A digital fossil buried under layers of new content, new trends, and new elections. It was waiting for a spark. It was waiting for a soundtrack. It needed a completely unrelated piece of audio, from a different continent, a different language, and a different world to resurrect it. The gesture of the general was about to meet the song of the lawyer, and that collision would create an explosion that no one, least of all Prabowo Subianto himself, could have ever seen coming. To understand the explosion, you first have to understand the fuse. And the fuse in this case wasn't a political rally in Jakarta. It was a recording studio in Thailand. The song that would become the anthem for Jayoma Lawyer is called Kiat Jadai, performed by a Thai artist named Alkan. And if you were to translate the lyrics, you wouldn't find a triumphant political war cry. You wouldn't find a call to action or a party anthem. You'd find a story of heartbreak. Kiat Jadai is at its core a somber breakup song. The lyrics speak of a love that has ended, of being left behind, of the painful struggle to move on. The title itself roughly translates to "cheated with all my heart," or "sincerely cheated." It's the kind of song you'd expect to hear in a dimly lit bar, not as the soundtrack to a global dance craze. And for a while that's what it was. A moderately popular song in Thailand, part of the country's vibrant music scene. It existed in its own context, with its own meaning, understood by its intended audience. But the internet, and specifically TikTok, doesn't care about original context. On TikTok, a sound is not a song. It's raw material. It's a block of marble waiting for a sculptor. The platform's entire ecosystem is built on the act of deconstruction and recontextualization. A sad line from a movie can become a comedy punchline. A dramatic orchestral score can be laid over a video of a cat falling off a chair. Meaning is fluid, and the original intent of the artist is often the first casualty in the war for viral attention. So, catchy was floating in this digital ether. A piece of emotional driftwood waiting for a new current. And Prabowo Subianto's Jayoma dance was another. Two completely unrelated pieces of media, from two different countries, created for two wildly different purposes. One, a sincere expression of political joy and connection. The other, a sincere expression of romantic pain and loss. On their own, they were just things. But someone somewhere saw the potential for a collision. We don't know who the first person was. There is no patient zero for a meme of this magnitude. It was likely a cascade, a series of small independent experiments. But we can imagine the moment of discovery. Some TikTok user in Indonesia, scrolling through their feed, sees the clip of the 72-year-old general, swaying with that odd rhythmic stiffness. The dance is hypnotic. It's repetitive. It needs a beat. They scroll a little further, and the algorithm, in its infinite and chaotic wisdom, serves them Alkan's breakup song. The Thai lyrics are unintelligible to them, but the rhythm is perfect. The tempo of the song, a steady, almost plodding beat, aligns almost supernaturally with the cadence of Prabowo's dance. They drop the sound over the video, and magic happens. The combination was immediately, viscerally compelling. The melancholy tone of the song, when paired with the goofy, cheerful dance, created a kind of surrealist comedy. It was absurd. It made no sense. And that's precisely why it worked. But the true catalyst, the element that turned this from a funny video into a global phenomenon, was a trick of the ear. For millions of people who didn't speak Thai, the chorus of catchy didn't sound like catchy. It sounded like something else entirely. It sounded like a name. It sounded like Jayoma. This is a classic case of Amanda Green. A misheard lyric that creates a new nonsensical phrase. Think of "excuse me while I kiss this guy" instead of "kiss the sky." The brain, desperate to find patterns and meaning in unfamiliar sounds, simply fills in the blanks. And the phrase it filled in, Jayoma, was perfect. It was simple. It was catchy. It was a two-syllable earworm that burrowed into your brain and refused to leave. Suddenly, the meme had a name. It wasn't just Prabowo dancing to a Thai song. It was the Jayoma dance, and it needed a character. The internet hive mind, in its infinite creativity, looked at the image of this older gentleman in a formal shirt, doing a strange, deliberate dance, and it made an intuitive leap. He looked official. He looked like he was on a mission. He had the confidence of someone who knows the rules and isn't afraid to bend them. He looked like a lawyer. Jayoma Lawyer was born. It wasn't a conscious decision made by a marketing team. It was a collective act of spontaneous myth-making. The name just felt right. It combined the nonsensical catchiness of Jayoma with the bizarre, unearned authority of lawyer. Jayoma Lawyer. The name itself is a joke. What does he do? He's a lawyer who solves his problems not with legal briefs and courtroom arguments, but with a hypnotic side-to-side shuffle. He is the patron saint of solving complex issues with simple, repetitive, and slightly goofy solutions. The initial explosion was confined mostly to Indonesian social media. For them, the meme had a potent double meaning. It was, on one level, a genuine, unironic celebration of their candidate. The Jayoma dance was a symbol of his populist appeal. But layered on top of that was this new surreal identity of Jayoma Lawyer, a creation of the global internet that was both funny and cool. It allowed Prabowo's supporters to participate in a global trend while simultaneously promoting their political choice. It was the ultimate political weapon, a meme that was impossible to attack. How do you criticize a silly dance? How do you debate the legal credentials of a fictional lawyer from a misheard Thai song? You can't. You either join in or you look like you don't get the joke. But the meme was too powerful, too catchy, to be contained by one country's borders or one political election. The character of Jayoma Lawyer was a separate entity now, untethered from the man who had inadvertently created him. The dance was simple enough for anyone to replicate. The song was an undeniable earworm. And the persona, This cool, calm, problem-solving lawyer was a blank canvas. People across Southeast Asia, then Europe, then the Americas started to see the videos. They didn't know who Prabowo Subianto was. They didn't know he was running for president of Indonesia. They didn't know the song was a Thai ballad about a broken heart. All they knew was that there was a new character on the internet. His name was Jayoma Lawyer. And this was his song. This was his dance. The meme had shed its origins like a snake sheds its skin, and the creature that emerged was sleeker, faster, and ready to conquer the world. The original context was gone, and in its place was a universal language of pure, unadulterated vibe. And that vibe was about to go mainstream in a way that would change the internet and pop culture forever. The stage was set. The raw material, a few seconds of a confident walk, had been refined into a pure, concentrated dose of cool. But for a vibe to truly conquer the internet, it needs a vehicle. It needs a delivery system perfectly engineered for rapid, explosive, global transmission. In the early 2020s, that system had a name, TikTok. And the fuel that would power this viral engine was a dark, aggressive, and utterly hypnotic genre of music known as funk. You've heard it even if you don't know its name. Funk is the sound of the internet's underbelly. Born from the lo-fi, distorted aesthetics of 90s Memphis rap, it was remixed and reimagined by producers on platforms like SoundCloud. It's characterized by heavy 808 bass, distorted cowbell melodies, and often, samples from old horror movies or obscure rap tracks. The result is a sound that feels both nostalgic and futuristic, gritty and atmospheric. It's the soundtrack for late-night street racing, for drifting cars in empty industrial parks, for a kind of detached, stoic coolness. And one track, in particular, was about to become the official anthem for Jayoma's walk, Metamorphosis, by the artist Einar WRLD. The song is a masterpiece of tension and release. It starts with a haunting, almost ethereal synth melody, creating a sense of anticipation. It builds slowly, layering in a driving beat. And then the drop. The bass hits like a physical force, the iconic, distorted cowbell melody kicks in, and the entire track transforms into an relentless, aggressive assertion of power. It's a song that makes you feel invincible. It's the sonic equivalent of putting on a pair of sunglasses and walking away from an explosion in slow motion. It was, in every conceivable way, the perfect soulmate for the clip of Jayoma. The marriage of these two elements on TikTok created a simple but devastatingly effective formula. It was a template that anyone could use, a new kind of visual language. It would start with a problem, a moment of doubt or challenge. The text on the screen might read, "My teacher said my presentation was boring," or "My friend said I couldn't beat the final boss." The visuals would show the character looking defeated. The music would be the quiet, atmospheric intro to Metamorphosis. You, the viewer, feel the tension. You understand the stakes. And then it happens. The beat drops. The screen cuts. And there he is, Jayoma, walking with that impossible swagger, hands in his pockets, his expression unreadable but radiating absolute certainty. The clip is often color-graded, made darker, more cinematic. The text on screen changes. The presentation I gave. Me after beating the final boss on the first try. The message was instantaneous and universal. I was faced with a challenge, and I didn't just overcome it, I dominated it. I didn't just win, I made it look easy. This format was pure viral gold. It was short, punchy, and had a massive payoff. The beat drop provided a hit of dopamine, and the appearance of Jayoma provided the punchline and the emotional release. It was infinitely remixable. Suddenly Jayoma was everywhere. He was the response to a breakup. He was the feeling of acing an exam you didn't study for. He was the embodiment of a perfect comeback in an argument you have with yourself in the shower 3 hours later. He was the ultimate after picture in a cosmic before and after meme. But as the meme exploded, a crucial piece of lore began to form. A piece that would elevate this from a simple trend to a cultural icon. The internet needed a name for this feeling, for this character. Looking at him, the sharp suit, the calm demeanor, the sense that he was on his way to handle a situation of immense importance with zero stress, the community collectively came to a conclusion. This man wasn't a model. He wasn't an actor. He was a lawyer. But not just any lawyer. He was the lawyer. The one you call when the odds are impossible. The one who walks into the courtroom when all hope is lost, and with a single devastatingly simple argument, turns the entire case on its head. He doesn't need to shout. He doesn't need theatrics. His presence alone is the final argument. The name Jayoma Lawyer was born. It was perfect. It encapsulated everything. The professionalism of the suit, the unshakable confidence, the sense that he was an expert, a closer, the final boss on your team. The name stuck, and with it, the legend grew. The memes became more specific. My opponent's lawyer when Jayoma Lawyer walks in. The video would show a clip of a famously cocky movie lawyer suddenly looking terrified, followed by the Jayoma walk. He became a mythical figure, a folk hero of the digital age. He was the personification of the final argument, the ultimate trump card in any situation. If you were making a point online and someone disagreed, you could just post the gif of Jayoma. Argument over. You won. This evolution was critical. The trend was no longer just about a cool walk set to a cool song. It was now about a character, a persona that people could project their own aspirations onto. In a world full of anxiety and uncertainty, Jayoma Lawyer represented the opposite. He was control. He was certainty. He was the quiet confidence that we all wish we had when facing our own trials, whether they're in a courtroom or a classroom. Major influencers and content houses began to pick up on the trend, amplifying it to tens of millions of followers. Sports teams used the format to show their star player making a game-winning shot. Movie studios implicitly used the vibe in their marketing. The Jayoma Lawyer walk became a real-life phenomenon. People would film themselves and their friends recreating the walk, trying to capture even a fraction of that effortless cool. They'd dress up in suits, find a long hallway, put on metamorphosis, and do their best impression. It was a shared cultural experience, a way of participating in the legend. The trend had reached escape velocity. It was no longer confined to specific communities. It had broken through into the mainstream consciousness. It was a mood, an aesthetic, a character, and a shared joke all rolled into one. The original clip from the French fashion show was now almost entirely irrelevant, a forgotten piece of trivia. The internet had taken this raw material and built a god of confidence, of victory, of unbothered, untouchable cool. But with this massive global fame came a question that grew louder and louder with every new meme, every new TikTok. The character of Jayoma Lawyer was a household name in the digital world. But who was the man behind the myth? Who was the actual person in that video? Was he really a lawyer? A model? An actor? For months, his identity remained a complete mystery, which only added to the mystique. He was an anonymous icon, a blank slate onto which millions projected their fantasies of power and control. The internet had created a legend, but the man himself was a ghost. And as the world became obsessed with finding him, the line between the meme and the man was about to become incredibly and fascinatingly blurred. The search was on. The digital breadcrumbs were few, and the trail was cold before it even began. The search started where the phenomenon did, on TikTok. Comment sections, once filled with jokes and memes, transformed into collaborative think tanks. Users tagged friends who were supposedly good at this sort of thing, the internet sleuths, the OSINT or open source intelligence hobbyists. The first wave of the investigation was a frantic, disorganized, but passionate analysis of the source material itself, the videos. Every pixel was put under a digital microscope. What kind of plant was that in the background? Could the reflection in his glasses reveal the room he was in? The quality was a major roadblock. The videos were grainy, compressed, and re-uploaded so many times they were practically digital ghosts. Attention turned to his speech. His accent was the most prominent clue. It was clearly Filipino. But the Philippines is an archipelago of over 175 distinct languages and dialects. Was it Tagalog with a specific regional inflection? Was it Bisaya? Self-proclaimed linguistics experts emerged from the woodwork, debating the subtle nuances of his pronunciation. One camp was certain he was from the Visayas region, maybe Cebu or Iloilo. Another argued his cadence was more typical of someone from Mindanao. This debate raged for weeks, a fascinating crowdsourced linguistic analysis that ultimately led nowhere concrete. It was like trying to identify a single grain of sand on a vast beach. Then there was his attire. The simple, often unbuttoned polo shirt. It suggested a tropical climate which aligned with the Philippines theory, but it was generic. It wasn't a uniform. It wasn't designer. It was the kind of shirt a million men wore every single day. Some users tried to enhance the logos if any were visible, but they were always too blurry to be definitive. He was an enigma wrapped in the most ordinary package imaginable. This, paradoxically, only made the mystery more compelling. He wasn't a celebrity hiding in plain sight. He was an everyman who had accidentally become a global icon. From TikTok, the search migrated to more specialized platforms. A subreddit r/find Jayoma was created. Discord servers were spun up, with dedicated channels for clue analysis, potential leads, and debunk theories. These platforms allowed for more organized, long-form discussion than a TikTok comment section. Users created massive Google Docs, compiling every known video, every screenshot, and every theory, no matter how wild. It was a stunning display of collective digital archaeology, thousands of strangers united by a single goal: to find the man behind the meme. This intense scrutiny inevitably led to false positives. The first major suspect was a legitimate lawyer in Manila whose professional headshot, taken from his law firm's website, bore a passing resemblance to the man in the videos. For about 72 hours, the internet was convinced they had found him. His name trended on Twitter. His firm's Facebook page was flooded with comments quoting Jayoma's catchphrases. It was a chaotic, premature celebration. The bubble burst when the lawyer's son posted a TikTok video, standing next to his father, politely but firmly stating that while they were flattered by the comparison, his dad was not the Jayoma lawyer. The search party had to sheepishly retreat and cross another name off the list. This happened several more times. An actor from a local Filipino TV drama, a retired politician from a rural province, a vlogger who had posted a video years ago with similar energy. Each time, hope would surge through the community, only to be dashed by a swift debunking. These dead ends were frustrating, but they also served a purpose. They helped the community refine their methods. They learned to be more skeptical, to demand more concrete proof before jumping to conclusions. They were, in essence, training themselves to be better detectives. Amidst this fervent search, a more serious conversation began to bubble up. An ethical debate. What were the searchers' intentions? The overwhelming majority claimed they just wanted to find him to show appreciation, to let him know how much joy his videos had brought them. Many wanted to start a GoFundMe to give back to him, assuming he might not be wealthy. But a vocal minority raised a crucial point. What if he didn't want to be found? This man never posted the videos himself. He never sought fame. His content was shared, likely without his permission, by someone else. The internet's obsessive search, however well-intentioned, was beginning to feel dangerously close to doxing. The community became divided. On one side, you had the finders, who argued that his fame was a public fact and that identifying him was simply solving a harmless puzzle. They believed he deserved to know about his celebrity status and potentially benefit from it. On the other side were the protectors, who argued that the man's privacy was paramount. They advocated for enjoying the meme for what it was and leaving the real person alone. They warned that unmasking him could lead to harassment, unwanted attention for his family, and a disruption of his life that he never asked for. This ethical tightrope walk added a new layer of complexity to the entire phenomenon. The internet was wrestling with its own power, caught between its capacity for creating community and its potential for causing real-world harm. For a while, it seemed the protectors might win out. The leads had dried up. The initial frenzy was fading, replaced by a slow, simmering curiosity. The mystery of Jayoma Lawyer seemed destined to remain just that, a mystery. A piece of internet folklore about a man who appeared, made the world laugh, and vanished back into obscurity. The digital detective agencies grew quiet. The Google Docs gathered dust. It felt like the end of the road, but the internet never truly sleeps. And all it takes is one person looking at the right thing at the right time. The breakthrough didn't come from a high-tech facial recognition scan or a deep dive into public records. It came from something far more mundane. An eagle-eyed user in a forgotten corner of a Discord server was rewatching one of the earliest, grainiest videos for the 100th time. They weren't looking at Jayoma. They weren't listening to his words. They were looking past him at the wall behind him. On the wall, partially obscured by a calendar and a shadow, was a small framed certificate. It was impossible to read the text, but in the bottom corner of the certificate was a logo. It was a tiny, almost indecipherable crest. The user took a screenshot, circled the faint emblem, and posted it in the chat with the simple question: "Does anyone recognize this?" At first, the message was ignored, buried under other conversations. But then someone else saw it. They enhanced the image. They sharpened it. And suddenly, the crest became clear. It wasn't from a law school. It wasn't from a university or a government office. It was the logo for a local security guard training academy, based not in a major city, but in a specific, relatively small province of the Philippines. He wasn't a lawyer. And for the first time, the search wasn't just a vague hunt across an entire country of 110 million people. It was now focused on a single town. They had a location, and a name for that location. The hunt was back on, and it was more intense than ever before. The town was called General Santos, or Ginsan as the locals called it, a bustling port city on the island of Mindanao in the southern Philippines. Suddenly, the mystery had a home. The digital ghost had a potential address. The effect on the community was electric. It was like a dam breaking. All the pent-up energy, all the aimless searching from the past weeks, now had a single unified target to flood. Discord channels exploded with activity. Reddit threads that had been slowly ticking over with speculative posts suddenly had hundreds of new comments per hour. The objective was clear: find the exact building seen in the video within the city of General Santos. The first wave of the attack was, of course, Google Maps. Thousands of people, armchair detectives from Ohio to Oslo, descended upon the digital representation of the city. They became virtual tourists with a mission. They dropped the little yellow Street View pegman onto every conceivable street, dragging him block by block, avenue by avenue. They were looking for that distinct combination. The low-slung building, the barred windows, the specific style of the metal gate, and of course the iconic sign. They scoured the main thoroughfares, the side streets, the residential areas. Every click of the mouse was a step taken on a foreign street. Every drag of the cursor was a turn of the head, scanning, always scanning. But they hit a wall. A digital wall, but a wall nonetheless. General Santos, while a significant city, didn't have the comprehensive, up-to-the-minute street view coverage of a place like New York or London. Much of the imagery was years old. Some streets were missing entirely, represented only by a flat, gray line on the map. The resolution was often grainy, making it impossible to read signs or make out fine details. They could spend hours walking down a street only to realize the Google car had driven by in 2015, long before Jayoma's law office might have even existed, or at least long before it had that specific sign. The initial tidal wave of optimism began to recede, leaving behind a beach of frustration. The haystack was smaller, yes, but they were still looking for a needle, and now they were trying to do it with blurry vision. This is often the point where an internet mystery dies. The initial excitement fades, the low-hanging fruit has been picked, and the hard, tedious work begins. But the Jayoma search was different. The community didn't give up. They adapted. They moved to phase 2. If the official maps were incomplete, they would build their own map from unofficial sources. They started a new kind of hunt, a hunt for any and all media ever created in General Santos. They became digital archaeologists digging through the sediment of the internet. They scoured YouTube for driving in General Santos videos, watching hours of shaky dashcam footage, pausing every few seconds to examine the storefronts whizzing by. They looked for vlogs from tourists, hoping a pan of a camera might accidentally catch the right street corner. They searched Flickr and other photo-sharing sites for pictures taken by locals, looking for clues in the backgrounds of family photos and street photography. They even dived into the depths of Facebook, searching for public groups related to the city. General Santos Buy and Sell, General Santos Community Watch, Tricycle Drivers of Ginsan, anything that might contain a photo or a video of the city's streets. It was a monumental, almost absurd undertaking. Imagine sifting through thousands of hours of random video and a million photos, all for a fleeting glimpse of a single unremarkable building. Most of what they found was useless. Wedding photos, food pictures, blurry concert videos. But every so often a tiny breadcrumb would appear. A user might post a photo of a parade, and in the background a building with a similar style of roof could be seen. They'd screenshot it, circle it, and upload it to the Discord. Possible match on Santiago Boulevard? Someone would ask. Then, 10 other users would immediately jump back to Google Maps, trying to triangulate the position based on other landmarks in the photo. It was a painstaking process of cross-referencing user-generated content with outdated official maps. The real breakthrough, however, came not from a clever search query or a lucky find, but from a person. A user logged into the main Discord server with a simple message. "Hi, I am from the Philippines. Not from Ginsan, but I live a few hours away. Maybe I can help." The arrival of this user, and a few others like them, changed the entire dynamic of the search. Suddenly, the community had local intelligence. They had cultural context. These Filipino users became invaluable translators, not just of language but of culture. The international searchers would post a screenshot of a sign, and the local users could immediately identify the dialect or explain the slang. They pointed out things that a Western eye would completely miss. For instance, they explained that the specific type of tricycle seen in the background of one photo was unique to a certain district of the city, immediately narrowing the search grid by several square miles. They recognized the species of a tree in the original video, noting it was commonly planted along a specific major avenue. They could look at the architecture of the building and say, "This style is common in the commercial areas built in the 1990s, instantly eliminating huge residential swaths of the city." This fusion of global brute force searching and local, nuanced knowledge was the key that began to unlock the puzzle. The search became more targeted, more intelligent. The international community was the engine, providing relentless manpower, while the Filipino contributors were the rudder, steering the ship with precision. The searchers from America and Europe learned about Filipino business culture, about how addresses are often non-standard, relying on landmarks rather than street numbers. "It's the building next to the 7-Eleven across from the BDO Bank," a Filipino user might explain, and suddenly 100 people would be virtually scouring every 7-Eleven in the city. Then one of the Filipino users dropped a bombshell in the chat. He had been asking his own friends and family, people who actually lived in General Santos. He said the name Jayoma was highly unusual as a surname. It wasn't a common Spanish-derived name like most in the Philippines. He suggested it might be a portmanteau, a combination of several names, which is a very common naming convention there. Maybe it was a combination of the partners' names, like Jayoma. This was a revolutionary idea. They had been searching for a single person, a Mr. Jayoma. But what if they were looking for a firm named after 3 different people? The entire search query changed. They weren't just looking for Jayoma Law Office anymore. They were looking for any law office. And they were armed with a new filter. A location narrowed down by tree species and tricycle models, and a new understanding of naming conventions. The hunt was refined to a razor's edge. One user, armed with this new information, went back to one of the earliest pieces of evidence, a grainy zoomed-in screenshot of the sign from the original video. For weeks, everyone had been trying to make the blurry letters spell Jayoma. They had convinced themselves that's what it said. But now, looking at it with fresh eyes and the new theory in mind, they saw something different. The first letter could be a J. The last 2 letters definitely looked like MA. But the middle 2, they weren't a Y and an O. It was a trick of the low resolution. It looked more like S and an A. Someone typed it into the chat. "Guys, look at the sign again. Does that look like JSMA to you?" And as people stared at the image on their screens, a collective gasp went through the community. Could be. It absolutely could be. A new search began frantically for any law firm in General Santos with a name that started with J, had SA in the middle, and ended in MA. The digital boots were on the ground again, but this time they weren't just wandering. They were sprinting towards a very specific target. The name wasn't the answer, but it was a brand new key, and they were about to find out which door it unlocked. The name Giovanni Lopez echoed through the digital halls of Discord servers and Reddit threads. It was a lightning rod. For weeks, the search had been aimless, a shot in the dark based on a single nonsensical phrase. Now they had a name, a real human name. But this victory was immediately tempered by a brutal, new reality. Go ahead, type Giovanni Lopez into a search engine. The results are a flood. You'll find doctors in Florida, construction workers in Texas, high school athletes in California, chefs, artists, students. The name was so common it was almost a form of camouflage. The internet had handed them a key, but it was a master key that fit thousands of wrong doors. The haystack they were searching in had just grown 1,000 times larger. This is a critical moment in any internet mystery. It's the point where the casual observers peel away, where the tourism dies down. The immediate thrill of a new clue is replaced by the slow, grinding work of verification. And this is where the true digital detectives, the dedicated core of the community, rolled up their sleeves. The task was monumental. They began to systematically build a database. Every public profile for a Giovanni Lopez they could find was cataloged. A spreadsheet was born, a collaborative document that became the central nervous system of the entire operation. It had columns for location, profession, estimated age, and links to any social media they could find. Slowly, methodically, they started crossing names off the list. This Giovanni Lopez was a 60-year-old grandfather in Arizona. Not him. This one was a teenager in Chicago who just made the varsity soccer team. Definitely not him. This one's profile picture showed a man who looked nothing like the figure from the video. Crossed off. Each elimination felt like a small victory, but the list was immense. They were bailing out an ocean with a teaspoon. For days, this was the rhythm of the search. Find a profile, compare the face, the age, the location, and 99 times out of 100, discard it. It was a soul-crushing process, a testament to the sheer scale of the digital world we all inhabit. And as they dug deeper, a new and vital conversation began to surface within the community. The line between investigation and invasion of privacy. The word doxing started appearing in the chat. Were they crossing a line? They weren't trying to find his home address or his phone number. The goal, everyone agreed, was to find his public-facing, professional identity. They wanted to know if he was an actor, a model, a performer who deserved credit for his viral fame. They wanted to solve the mystery of the phrase Jayoma Lawyer. Not append a private citizen's life. Moderators stepped in, laying down firm ground rules. No posting of private information. No contact with family members. The search was to be confined to publicly available data. LinkedIn profiles, professional pages, public Instagram accounts. The goal was identification for the purpose of credit, not harassment. This was a crucial self-correction. It showed a level of maturity and self-awareness that often gets lost in the chaotic churn of internet culture. They weren't a mob. They were a team of researchers with a shared, and now ethically bound, objective. With these new rules in place, the search became more focused. They weren't just looking for a name anymore. They were looking for a profession. The man in the video carried himself with a certain confidence. The walk, the turn, the stare into the camera. It didn't feel accidental. It felt practiced. The leading theory was that he had to be some kind of performer. An actor, a model, someone comfortable in front of a camera. So the search terms changed. Jayoma Lopez actor. Jayoma Lopez model. Jayoma Lopez Los Angeles. The results began to narrow. They found old casting calls, outdated modeling portfolios on obscure websites from the mid-2010s. The pictures were grainy, the quality low, but in some of them there was a spark of recognition. The jawline looked familiar. The eyes had the same intensity, but it was impossible to be certain. These were ghosts of a past career, digital echoes from years ago. Was it the same man? Or was it just another dead end, another case of wishful thinking? The breakthrough came not from a direct search but from a piece of lateral thinking. One user, deep down a rabbit hole of old modeling pages, found a Jayoma Lopez listed with a specific but now defunct talent agency. This was a new thread. Instead of searching for the man, they started searching for the agency. They looked for other models or actors represented by that same agency around the same time period. They were essentially rebuilding a professional network that hadn't existed for nearly a decade. They scoured the social media of these other models. They looked through old tag photos on Facebook and Instagram, scrolling back year after year. 2018, 2017, 2016. It was digital archaeology, dusting off forgotten posts and abandoned profiles. And then it happened. On the Instagram of another model from that same agency, they found it. A group photo posted in 2015. It was a behind-the-scenes shot from a runway show in Los Angeles. In the background, slightly out of focus but unmistakably there, was their man. He was younger, his hair was styled differently, but the face was the same. The caption tagged about 10 people. They frantically scanned the list of usernames. And there it was, a tag for an active Instagram account. The profile was public. The username wasn't just Jayoma Lopez. It was a unique handle. They clicked. The profile picture was a professional headshot. It was him. The jawline, the intense gaze, the structure of his face. It was a perfect match. They scrolled through his feed. There were modeling shots, photos of him on set, pictures of him in New York and LA. And as they scrolled back, they found photos from 2019 and 2020 where he looked exactly, and I mean exactly, like the man who walked through that door. The same haircut, the same build, the same confident energy. A link to the Instagram profile was dropped into the main Discord channel. For a moment there was silence. The silence of 1,000 people holding their breath at once. Then an explosion. A torrent of messages flooded the chat. That's him. No way. We found him. Holy crap, it's really him. It was a moment of pure collective euphoria. The kind of moment that can only be born from a shared struggle and a sudden definitive victory. Weeks of dead ends, of false leads, of grinding, tedious searching had all led to this single undeniable screen. They had done it. They had found the man behind the meme. The mystery of his identity was solved. But in solving one mystery, they had just opened the door to a dozen more. Who was he really? And more importantly, what on earth did Jayoma Lawyer actually mean? The internet, armed with a face, did what it does best. It swarmed. Reverse image searches, facial recognition software, forum deep dives, the digital bloodhounds were on the trail. And within hours they had a name. A hit. The man in the photo, the stoic, unblinking face of justice, was apparently a world-famous DJ and music producer named John Summit. The evidence seemed plausible. There was a resemblance, the strong jawline, the intense gaze. It was close enough. And in the breakneck speed of internet culture, close enough is as good as a signed confession. Suddenly, John Summit's world was turned upside down. His social media mentions, once filled with praise for his latest house track or questions about his tour dates, were now an endless, nonsensical flood. Every post, every tweet, every Instagram story was met with a tidal wave of 2 words: Jayoma Lawyer. Imagine his confusion. He posts a video from a festival in Ibiza. A sea of dancing fans before him. The top comment? Jayoma Lawyer will get you out of this. He tweets about a delayed flight. The replies? Call Jayoma Lawyer. Jayoma Lawyer would have sued the airline. He was no longer John Summit, the DJ. He was Jayoma Lawyer, the mythical attorney. At first, he was utterly bewildered. He tweeted out, "Can someone please explain to me what Jayoma Lawyer is?" The internet, of course, offered no real explanation, only more memes. They photoshopped his face from the DJ booth onto the body of Phoenix Wright. They created fake commercial ads for the law offices of Jayoma, Summit, and Associates. The meme had found its face, and it refused to let go. To his credit, John Summit leaned into it. He embraced the absurdity, temporarily changing his social media name to John Summit, Jayoma Lawyer. He played along, understanding that on the internet, you either ride the wave or get crushed by it. For a brief, glorious moment, the mystery seemed solved. The meme had a face, a name, and a backstory, albeit a completely fabricated one. But the most dedicated internet sleuths felt something was off. The original photo just didn't feel like a DJ's promo shot. The lighting, the suit, the setting, it screamed institutional, not international. It looked less like a green room and more like a government building. And they were right. The John Summit connection was a classic case of internet misidentification. A hilarious but ultimately incorrect detour. The real identity of the man in the picture was far more fascinating and far more unexpected. The man the internet had dubbed Jayoma Lawyer was not an American lawyer. He was not a DJ. He wasn't even from the United States. His name is Dr. Mbayaseni Ndlozi, and he is a prominent and often controversial member of the South African Parliament. This changes everything. The man in the photo isn't preparing to object in a courtroom. He's likely listening to a political debate in the National Assembly of South Africa. He is a key figure in the Economic Freedom Fighters, or EFF, a populist far-left political party in South Africa. He holds a PhD in political studies. In his home country, he's a well-known public figure, sometimes referred to as the People's Bay, for his charisma and sharp style. He is a serious politician, a revolutionary, and a scholar. And now, completely unbeknownst to him at first, he was also the face of a bizarre American internet trend. The photo itself was captured years earlier, a candid shot of him during a parliamentary proceeding. His intense, focused expression wasn't for a judge or a jury. It was the look of a politician locked in ideological combat. He was listening, analyzing, preparing his rebuttal. The context of the photo is one of high-stakes national debate, of policy and power. And the internet, in its infinite chaotic wisdom, looked at this image of a South African political firebrand and said, "That's the best darn lawyer I've ever seen." So that solves the who. But it leaves us with the even bigger question, the what. What on earth does Jayoma Lawyer actually mean? This is where the story pivots from a simple case of mistaken identity into a profound lesson about modern language and the beautiful, nonsensical nature of meme culture. The truth is, it means absolutely nothing. It's not a name. It's not a real law firm. It's not a mistranslation from Zulu or Xhosa. It's not an anagram. It is pure, unadulterated linguistic chaos. The phrase Jayoma Lawyer is what's known as a schizopost or a weirdcore meme. It's a phrase that has no inherent meaning, born from the depths of platforms like TikTok and Twitter, likely from a single, random comment that someone found funny. It's a ghost word, a piece of digital folklore. And that is precisely why it became so powerful. Because Jayoma Lawyer means nothing, it can mean everything. The phrase is a blank canvas onto which we project our own ideas of an unstoppable, almost supernatural legal force. The name sounds vaguely official, vaguely powerful. The syllables Jayoma have a certain rhythm, a certain gravity. It feels like it could be a name from somewhere, which lends it a thin veneer of legitimacy. This combination was the perfect storm. You have a visually powerful image of a man who looks supremely confident, competent, and serious. He looks like he doesn't lose. You pair that image with a completely meaningless, but serious-sounding name. The dissonance between the powerful image and the nonsensical text is where the humor is born. It's an inside joke that everyone was suddenly in on, even though nobody knew who told the joke in the first place. Jayoma Lawyer became the mythical attorney for impossible situations. Did you get a ticket for going 150 miles per hour in a school zone while juggling flaming chainsaws? You don't need a good lawyer. You need Jayoma Lawyer. Did you accidentally sell a national monument on eBay? Call Jayoma. Did you get into an argument with the sun and lose? There's only one name you can trust. He's not just a lawyer. He's a concept. He's the embodiment of ultimate legal authority. The meme gave people a new piece of slang, a new way to describe a situation that was so far gone, so hopelessly messed up, that only a miracle could fix it. And that miracle had a name. The identity was solved. The phrase was deciphered, or rather, the lack of a cipher was discovered. The internet had created a new folk hero out of a South African politician and a string of gibberish syllables. The entire life cycle of the meme, from obscure comment to viral sensation, had played out. But there was one final crucial chapter left in this story. The loop had not yet been closed. The man at the center of it all, Dr. Mbayasenin Blozi, was still largely unaware of his newfound international fame as a fictional super lawyer. The question that hung in the air was a tantalizing one. What would happen when he found out? What happens when a real-world political firebrand comes face-to-face with his own absurd digital ghost? The answer, when it came, was not a lawsuit. It was not a fiery press conference denouncing the digital desecration of his image. It was something far stranger, far more in tune with the chaotic spirit of the internet itself. The first sign that Jose Maria de Castro knew what was happening came, as it so often does, from family. You can almost picture the scene. A grandchild, phone in hand, hesitantly approaching the elderly revolutionary. "Grandpa," they might have said, "you need to see this." And there on the small screen was his own face, years younger, set to a thumping video game soundtrack, defending cartoon characters from outlandish accusations. His initial reaction, as he later described in interviews with Philippine media, was one of utter bewilderment. Who was Jayoma? Why was he a lawyer? And why was he being associated with characters from a Japanese video game he'd never heard of? It was a moment of profound generational and cultural disconnect. Here was a man who had spent his life engaged in ideological battles, who had written dense political treatises and commanded guerrilla armies, now confronted with the baffling nonsensical whimsy of Gen Z internet humor. The language of the meme was as foreign to him as his own political history was to the meme's creators. And in that moment of confusion, Jose Maria de Castro was faced with a choice. It was the same choice every person, brand, or public figure faces when they unexpectedly become the main character of the internet for a day. He could ignore it, hoping it would fade away. He could fight it, issuing takedown notices and angry statements, which would inevitably trigger the Streisand effect and make the meme even more powerful. Or he could do the unthinkable. He could embrace it. Jose Maria de Castro, the political exile, the ideological purist, chose to embrace it. He laughed. In what can only be described as one of the most surreal and masterful pivots in the history of personal branding, he decided to play along. He understood something fundamental about this new digital landscape. You cannot control the narrative. You can only participate in it. To fight the meme would be to appear old, out of touch, and fragile. To join the meme, however, was a power move. It was a declaration that he was still relevant, that he had a sense of humor, and that he refused to be a passive victim of internet fame. His first forays were tentative. He began acknowledging the Jayoma Lawyer persona in online posts. He confirmed with a wink and a nod that yes, that was indeed him in the old footage. The internet, which had been bracing for a cease and desist, was instead met with a cheerful co-conspirator. The creator of the meme had built a fictional character. The subject of the meme now stepped forward to play the part. It was as if a historical wax figure had suddenly walked out of the museum and started taking selfies with tourists. This culminated in the ultimate act of self-awareness. Jose Maria de Castro joined TikTok. He created his own account, and under the watchful eye of his family and supporters, he began to create content. Not dense political lectures but short, meme-feed videos. He would appear on screen, sometimes wearing a traditional Filipino barong Tagalog, while the iconic Ace Attorney music played in the background. In one video, he sits stoically while text on the screen reads, "My honest reaction when they say my client is guilty." The camera zooms in on his unflinching, serious face, the very face from the original news clip, before he breaks into a subtle, knowing smile. The effect was electric. The meme had become self-aware. The digital ghost was now being puppeteered by the man himself. His TikTok account blew up. The same kids who had shared the original edits were now getting content directly from the source. They flooded his comments. "The legend is here." Objection. Jayoma-sama, please defend me in my math class. He had successfully bridged the chasm between his reality and his memeality. He wasn't just the subject of the joke anymore. He was in on it. He was its final and most potent punchline. But this act of playful engagement created a fascinating and complex duality. For the global audience, this was simply hilarious. A cool old grandpa was leaning into his internet fame. It was wholesome. It was funny. They saw Jayoma Lawyer, the fictional character, and the man playing him was just a surprisingly hip elderly gentleman. But in the Philippines, the reaction was far more layered, more fraught with political weight. Here he wasn't just a meme. He was Joma Sisan. And Joma Sisan was one of the most polarizing figures in the nation's modern history. To his followers, he was a hero, a patriot who fought against dictatorship and for the rights of the poor and marginalized. To his detractors, he was a terrorist, a man responsible for decades of armed conflict and violence. His legacy was written in blood, ideology, and revolution. So when this man, this lightning rod of political passion, started making goofy TikToks, the nation didn't know how to react. For his supporters, it was a brilliant strategic move. It humanized him. It bypassed the mainstream media, which often portrayed him as a villain, and allowed him to connect directly with a younger generation that knew little of his past. He was no longer a distant, intimidating historical figure. He was the funny lawyer from their phones. It was a way of laundering a deeply controversial reputation through the sanitizing, context-stripping machine of meme culture. For his opponents, it was grotesque. They saw it as a cynical attempt to whitewash a violent history. They saw a man accused of serious crimes trivializing his image for internet clout. How could the founder of an armed insurgency be celebrated as a funny meme? They argued that the global audience, in their ignorance of Philippine history, were inadvertently helping to rehabilitate the image of a man they considered a monster. This created a bizarre dual reality. Online, in the borderless world of TikTok and YouTube, he was Jayoma, the beloved defender of the innocent. In the Philippines, the debate raged. Was he Joma the freedom fighter or Joma the terrorist? The meme acted as a strange prism, splitting his identity in two. One was a simple, universally understood character. The other was a complex, deeply divisive historical figure. And the man himself, sitting in his home in the Netherlands, was now performing both roles at once. He was simultaneously a political leader in exile and a global TikTok sensation. He was living proof of the internet's incredible power to flatten history, to sever a person from their own past, and to create a new identity forged in the fires of viral absurdity. He had successfully become his own digital ghost, but in doing so, he raised an even more profound question. When a man becomes a meme, what happens to the man? The answer, it turns out, is complicated. For a time, the man and the meme merged. Jilliman embraced his newfound identity. He was no longer just a security guard from a small village. He was a global internet celebrity. He began creating more content, leaning into the persona that the internet had built for him. He would appear in his signature white shirt and tie, sometimes with the lawyer filter, sometimes without, performing dances, reacting to comments, and interacting with a global audience that now numbered in the millions. He was, for all intents and purposes, Jayoma Lawyer. This was the honeymoon phase of internet fame. The dopamine hits from notifications, the validation from likes and shares, the sense of connection to a world far beyond his own. He was invited to collaborate with other creators, featured in news articles, and for a moment he was on top of the digital world. He was monetizing his content, providing for his family in a way he likely never imagined possible. From the outside, it looked like a dream come true. A man from humble beginnings, catapulted to stardom by a happy accident. But the internet is a fickle beast. What it gives, it can just as easily take away. Or worse, it can simply get bored and move on. The Jayoma Lawyer trend, like all trends before it, began to crest. The wave of virality that had lifted him so high began to recede. The novelty wore off. The algorithm, that unseen god of the digital age, found new sacrifices to favor. The views started to dip. The comments became less frequent. The world that had been so intensely focused on his every move slowly began to turn its gaze elsewhere. This is the brutal, often unspoken reality for those who experience meteoric, meme-based fame. You are not famous for who you are. You are famous for what you represent at that specific moment. You are a piece of cultural shorthand, a running gag, a temporary obsession. And when the culture moves on, you are left in the wake. The man Jayoma was now faced with a crisis of identity. Was he still Jayoma Lawyer if no one was watching? He tried to adapt. He experimented with different types of content, trying to show more of his personality, more of the man behind the meme. But for many, the expectation was set. They didn't want Jayoma the person, they wanted Jayoma the character. They wanted the awkward dance, the stoic expression, the nonsensical audio. They wanted the ghost. Trying to break free from the very thing that made you famous is a trap that has ensnared countless creators. You risk alienating the audience you have, while struggling to build a new one that sees you for who you want to be. The digital ghost he had created now haunted him. Every new video was compared to the old ones. The comments section became a constant reminder of his peak. Bring back the old Jayoma, they'd say. Do the lawyer thing again. He was a musician being asked to play his one-hit song over and over again, long after he had written an entire album of new material. The identity that had been a source of liberation was slowly becoming a prison. And so, what happened to the man? He endured. He continued to create, but with a noticeable shift. The pressure to perform seemed to lessen, replaced by a more authentic, if less viral, presence. He posts videos of his daily life, of his family, of him simply being himself. The staggering numbers are gone, but a core community remains. He is no longer a global phenomenon, but a creator with a dedicated, smaller following. He is, in a sense, in the process of reclaiming his own identity from the meme that overshadowed it. He is trying to turn Jayoma back into the main character of his own story. The story of Jayoma Lawyer, then, isn't just about a funny video that went viral. It's a profound case study in the modern human condition. It's a story about the chaotic, unpredictable power of the internet to pluck someone from obscurity, rewrite their identity, and then leave them to figure out the pieces. It's a story about cultural translation and misinterpretation on a global scale, where a sound from one language becomes a name in another, creating a completely new, shared reality for millions of people who have no idea of its origin. It reveals how desperately we all want to be part of something, to be in on the joke. The Jayoma trend wasn't just about him. It was about us. It was about the joy of collective absurdity, the comfort of a shared, nonsensical experience in a world that is often all too serious. We weren't just laughing at him, we were laughing with each other through him. He was the vessel for a fleeting moment of global unity, brought together by a confused algorithm and a man dancing in a white shirt. His legacy is a strange one. The meme itself is now a piece of internet history, a digital artifact. The audio clip will forever echo in the halls of TikTok and Instagram. The name Jayoma will forever be linked to that stoic face and that simple dance. The ghost will live on, reshared and remixed, long after we've all forgotten the context. It has achieved a form of digital immortality, but the man Jayoma has a different legacy. His is a story of resilience. He rode the tidal wave of internet fame and survived the crash. He saw his face become more famous than his name, his identity become a caricature, and yet he is still there, still creating, still sharing his life. He is a living testament to what happens after the meme dies. Life goes on. You have to find a way to integrate that bizarre, world-altering experience into the person you were before, and the person you want to become. In the end, the question of who is Jayoma Lawyer has two answers. Jayoma Lawyer is a fiction, a ghost in the machine born from a glitch in translation. He is a cultural moment, a symbol of the internet's strange and wonderful chaos. But Jayoma is a real person, a father, a husband, a security guard who for a brief, shining moment, captured the world's attention not through a calculated plan, but through an act of simple, uninhibited joy. And in a world of curated perfection and manufactured content, perhaps that is the most valuable and enduring story of all. He reminds us that sometimes the most profound connections are made not through careful planning, but by pure, unexplainable viral accident. He is the accidental icon of our digital age.